What's up, guys? This is Brent with Lykins Motorsports. This is OJ, not the OJ, but an OJ. Been working on the front end of the motor, got the cams degreed and the piston valve clearance checked. You guys can watch that video that I posted yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. But went ahead and changed out all of the guides and new tensioners, and I'm waiting on FedEx to bring me some new bolts. TrickFlow has a nice set of replacement bolts for these, so I went ahead and ordered a set. I think I put the smoke down on one of these the other day, and I just don't trust it. The TrickFlow heads that we will be going to has a completely different setup for holding the cam, and you don't use these little flimsy caps, little towers is what they call them, but they have some beefy caps, and just the way that it's made is completely different. So changing these bolts out, I'm waiting for this washer, but should be able to get this thing buttoned up pretty quick. Got the followers in on this side. I've rolled it over, haven't had any problems. I did a short, a YouTube short on how to pop these things in. One of my subscribers sent me some cool modular Ford stuff when I started messing with this dyno mule, and one of those things was one of these tools. This was extremely handy, so I'm very appreciative of this. What you can do to pop these followers in, you just roll the engine over until the cam lobe is on. Basically, you can tell that this is like a valve close position here, and if I keep rolling this engine over, the base circle of the lobe is going to be facing the follower. And when I get it to that point, I basically just feed the follower in on the side. This straddles the cam lobe. Hello. And then I'm looking at my screen instead of looking and seeing what I'm doing. So, okay, this is a fiasco. There we go. So you can see the tool straddles the cam lobe, and then also it's almost like a valve spring compressor. So when you pull on this, it pushes the valve and everything down, and you just feed that follower in from the side. Put one end on lash adjuster, the other end rides the valve stem. So easy peasy. I flew through that in no time flat, and kind of almost about the same time that it would take you to pop a stud mounted rocker arm and set the preload or the lash or whatever. So it goes by pretty quick. One thing I noticed, and maybe somebody out there in YouTube land will comment, so I put all my new guides and everything on. This is all from a Cloy's kit, and it should be factory replacement stuff. This guide, this cutout where the bolt goes isn't as deep as the cutout on the factory guide, so I had to get a longer bolt. I did notice that. But when I pulled the pin on the tensioners, you know, I expected it to go pop and then just preload everything, but it didn't go pop and it didn't preload everything. And it happened both on the side. When I was degreeing the cams the other day, I reused all the factory parts except for the chains, and I reused the factory tensioners, and when I pulled the pin on that, it did move enough where I could see it. I'm thinking the difference is these guides are not worn, whereas the factory guides had some wear. So when I pulled the pin on the factory tensioners and the factory guides, it had a little bit more to go. Whereas all this is brand new, and you know, there's just not that much travel to go. So I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm okay. I'm gonna get one of those spray tank things where I can pre-oil the whole shooting match, and I may even do that before I put the timing cover on, just to make sure I'm getting oil pressure to my tensioner and everything else. So that'll come in handy. So that's what's going on with this. I showed you the other day, we got the pistons in from Mahle. All really nice, cool stuff. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to get all those measured up. I'm going to get them all weighed up. I'm going to weigh the wrist pins, locks, and everything, record all that. And then I'm going to get our R&R custom aluminum rods out, and I'm going to hang the pistons on the rods. So I know we're a long way from that, but it lets me go ahead and get a bob weight so that when this engine is done testing and I want to balance the crank for the new setup, or if I just come across another crankshaft, which I may very well do, you can buy them for, you know, 120, 140 bucks or something, then I can go ahead and have it balanced and ready to drop in. But wanted to go ahead and get all that done, get our wrist pin clearance measured, and just make some progress that way. Not much is going on here today, and it's a good time to knock stuff out for myself. All right, here's our little slugs all ready to mess with. They laser etched them for me, vertical gas ports. Everything custom. Mahle makes a really nice piston. As you can tell, I like using their stuff. Narrowed skirts, so really lightweight. These were like 254 grams or something like that. Really light. So I'm gonna go ahead and weigh all these guys, and also get a measurement on the diameter, so I can record that and make sure that we get the necessary clearance built into our block. So I'll roll through here and record all these. And here's the results of that. So most of these are within, I don't know, 2 or 3 tenths of a gram with each other. We do have this little chunky boy right here, so we'll have to see if we can pair him with maybe a lighter wrist pin or a lighter rod end. And here's all of our wrist pins, little short dudes, which is what we like to see. And these varied by about 1/10 of a gram. Interesting pin design. They've got kind of like a taper as it goes into the inside. Piston locks, got a little tang on the end of it, and our pistons have a fairly good size opening for that tang. All right, and I went ahead and got our measurements on our skirts. So Mahle wants a piston to skirt clearance of 2/1000 of an inch. So this is a small diameter, and they are coated, and that's where we are with that. Just as a testament to modern piston machining capabilities, this whole set of 8 pistons varies by 2/10,000 of an inch. Here's our piston rings. We're going to weigh a set of piston rings for balance purposes. These are 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter. So there's our first, second ring. Here's our expander and 2 oil rails. $18.9 grams. That's ridiculous. It's just so stinking light. All right, here is our basically our piston rod assembly. And these are made by R&R Connecting Rods. Nice custom aluminum rods, ARP 2000 bolts, and made for our modular Ford engine. Aluminum rods have come a long way in the past several decades. There's lots of guys running these on the streets. I have a small block Ford that's running around the streets of Tennessee right now with aluminum rods, and he's planning on taking that to Bowling Green here in a little bit later in the fall, and I have no qualms about it. So this is what I've chosen for our 4.6 liter dyno mule. All right, we're checking pin to wrist pin bore clearance, and we got about, this is incredibly hard to do holding the camera one-handed. So about 7/10 is what I was measuring with two hands. I'll go with that. Doing our rod, R&R says they want a minimum of 7/10, and I don't have 7/10. I've got about 2 or 3/10. So we'll have to, and you can tell it too when you put a wrist pin in here. Like it doesn't want to fall. It's got just enough clearance to move, as opposed to this piston where I can put it here and I can hear that. It has clearance. So, and if I turn this upside down, it'll fall out. So the wrist pin bores on our connecting rods are going to have to be honed just a little bit. You don't want to get carried away because aluminum expands when it's hot. All right, so I'm going to hold off on doing anything else until we get those rods, the pin bores honed. I did just crank out an estimated bob weight right now of 1344, which is really, really light. So probably be a good bit of modifying the counterweights on the crank to get everything in balance. We'll just have to see. But we'll see how it goes. Thank you guys for watching. This will probably be it for today. Just one step along the road. I mean, this is what I do for every engine, and it's time consuming and sometimes it's tedious, but I feel like it's the most accurate and thorough way to do things. But thank you for standing by and watching, and thanks for all your comments and all the likes and all the subscribes. You guys are helping me out a lot. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a good long weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See you.